Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The nice part about ranges is like, I mean, we were in a range there for like a month, month and a half to 2 months, and it's like you just get used to playing it. And then as you know, something switches up and you break out, and you're like, oh shit, I've been trading the same way every day for like a month and a half. Yeah, I know. It's always so hard to keep it when you come to range higher, range lows. Like, there's one person who I've just seen is phenomenal at ranges. That's just talking like in WG. He just like he can play ranges so beautifully and just like make sure he's always long from the lows or always short from the highs and always has them for the breakout. Crazy. Yeah, 100%. It's funny though, 'cause it's like the second you don't do that, then you just end up round tripping. Like range, like it's so funny every time. Yeah, I feel that. Like this whole area here, obviously from the 10-10 nuke and then like recovering was just a mess. It's starting to get a bit more constructive, which is nice, especially if we do end up holding this retest here. Like this is like the perfect retest that we're having now, and it's like if we start accepting anywhere under here, like it's not looking great. Like there's some levels in here, but I really don't want to see it start accepting back into that range. It's not what you want to see, especially because it's like the breakout. Like it's not that great. You know, we only broke out like 3.5%, swept out all the highs. It's just like imbalance here. It's like wouldn't be the greatest if we start accepting back into the range now. That's for sure. Yeah, yeah, it would be nice if it ended up wicking. Yeah, Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because right now we're literally it's the perfect retest. Like we came up here, rejected from the resistance, and now we've come down and like this like pixel perfect retesting the 50 mark. So if we do end up holding here, which I can see this happening too, is like we're not very strong right now. But if we reclaim here, it'll look better. But I can see us from here and then like even just a sweep down to get that with like a 30-minute div and then actually start to break out of this like low time frame retracement here could be nice. Or we just end up pushing up from here, which would also be really nice. But we have a flat 1 hour right here and a bunch of liquidity in this area. So I could see us taking that out before sending for sure. Realign and send. Yeah, yeah, I agree. The real test will be like this 107 level. If we can get above there, then we'll push towards range highs. What would be nice is if we actually hold this here and, you know, we just play around in here, but we just like are now in this range again and do that for a little while. That'd be great. Yeah, the 3 days have been, yeah, yeah, it's been consistent like the whole way through. Like this one's crazy exaggerated, but like mark the top, like top, not even like local, bottom, top, bottom. This one, you know, we had what 3-4 drive there, and then again here. It is a div. It's just like the indicator was slightly off, but like it's beautiful. And if you look at the weekly structure too, it's like there's a lot of noise, but like when you take things to higher time frames, you know, this is nothing more than another higher low, which is exactly what you want to see in the grand scheme of things. Like structure still intact. We're below the 50 mark, however, so it's like, you know, when we come up and test here, we throw the weekly levels on, like, you know, come up and test here, get around here, like we could reject and get that actual bigger move down. But if we do end up flipping like 107, 108, then we'll push new all-time highs and continue on up for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and you can see like everything has gotten so much more constructive since ETFs. It's like these moves are like crazy, but like ETFs come in and it's like there's these like high time frame ranges and they all are like in the moment, yeah, sure, it's like super fucking emotional and stressful and whatever, but it's like things are becoming so much more institutionalized with all the capital that like, we are literally just slowly grinding and climbing. That's not to say we're always going to, but like things are definitely different and this thing's becoming there's a lot more capital that is like reliant on it not making this. Like, yeah. And it's painful at the time, but like, yeah, yeah. No, it's worth noting too. It's like we had the biggest by orders of magnitude liquidation through the 10 stuff, and it's like when you zoom out, it's fucking fine. Like we're still literally just below 100K after something as crazy as what had happened, where like alts literally went down 99% and fucking Atom went to like 0.0001 or something. Like things just got like absolutely destroyed. But like Bitcoin, like it doesn't even look bad when you actually just zoom out, remove all emotions or how you've traded, whatever. Like we're still chilling. It's crazy. But yeah, so let's dive in. So I'm gonna go over how you guys can use the indicator and stuff to kind of like look at a lot of the things that me and Cypress are going over. So, I know a lot of you have been using the indicator. There's a ton of members who have been having crazy success with it too. Like just seeing some crazy numbers in terms of like P&L growth over 7 days, 30 days, and just people making trades and stuff. So I know there's probably a lot of you too who haven't used it as much and whatnot. And so I'm gonna be streaming back weekly. I did it last year. I think we only missed like maybe 6 to 8 weeks throughout the entire year. So, I got a ton of streams, educational stuff planned for you guys. I want to bring some more traders up who are having success with the tools and the bots, have some more roundtables, go into more psychology of trading as well as how you can execute with all the tools that we provide you guys. So we got a lot of stuff planned. And in terms of even, what we're going to be rolling out this year for new tools, updates, things like that, if you guys think that you've seen some impressive stuff so far, like you really have no idea what's coming. And for the ones who are riding with Woodsbot, as always, the ones who have been with us, who have shown support, who are part of Platinum, who are doing volume and stuff, we're always going to be grandfathering you guys into the stuff that we're bringing, right? Like none of this is possible without you guys supporting us. So there's a lot of stuff coming and there's a lot of stuff to look forward to in 2026. So today, we're gonna run through, catch up on the market, see where we're at, and then as we go, the way we do these streams too, if we've been ranging for a while, like I like to cover ranges and how to trade ranges and how to use the bots for ranges. We start actually trending, right? We actually hold this, and the next few um, weeks, months, whatever, like some actual trending PA. It's like we're going to cover trending, how to play breakouts. We're going to cover how to use the bots and the tools on lower time frames to catch these retracements and, really capitalize on whatever's going on with the market. If we go back into the range, we're going to cover how to play the range, right? How to like stay safe when we go back in here, expect at least probably mid-range or range lows, how to play it. So we're always covering kind of exactly what's going on in the market. So for anyone who's new, that's kind of just what you can expect. Looks like most of you guys, from what I can see, are OGs who've been here for a while. So I appreciate you guys looking through the chat right now. all the members in here. So anyways, let's break it down. We've been in this nasty, super choppy range here for a while. And this initial part here after the 10-10 nuke was just horrendous to trade. Holidays, low volume, everyone's selling for taxes, just had 10-10, like doom and gloom too. You know, we don't really know how low this is going to go, what the repercussions of the 10-10 event are going to be. But we've kind of ranged out and we found like a value range here with a range low and a range high. And as of this week, we've actually finally broken out of this range. So one of the best ways that you can use the Woodsbot TradingView indicator, and if you sign up for the ref link, for those that aren't on it, you'll get access to this, is helping you find and understand levels in the market, but those levels can also paint very, very clear pictures for you in terms of ranges. So inside of the indicator chat here, Native has been instrumental in making sure that you guys are up to date with what he's seen, and that, you know, includes the range here. So you can see he's saying BTC is holding the daily support, and I'll show you exactly where this was happening. So this is at the 94.35 level, and this was after we had swept range highs here. So we swept range highs here, and we came back down into this 90.43 level. Now it's shifted a little bit because the indicator, for those who don't know, pulls 3 years worth of data, but it also takes into account recent price action. So I'm not going to tell you how, because that's the sauce, but this thing is always up to date with like the most concrete levels for you guys. So this was around here, and Native was pointing out in the chat that we had not closed a single daily candle below the level. You can see perfectly swept range highs, and this daily level rejected, came down, and we didn't close a single daily candle below. Now this range has been extremely difficult, obviously, but like this was the logical retest after taking out range highs here. You wanted to see this hold, otherwise it was going to be another rotation down into these lows, at range lows. And from there, maybe we broke the range to the downside or we swept them, came back, who knows. But this was the critical hold here, and you can see just how important this level is. So we're going to look at this on the daily, and then we'll look at it on the H4. You can see how many times we tried for the last little while and rejected. We were in here for like 2 weeks. Now we got the first candle close above that level on the daily. Again, using the indicator in the levels, this tells you that this was like a signal that we were now finally flipping this mid-range. And it's always hard to trade at mid-range, and it's not recommended because you'll chop yourself up just like this. But we had that first daily close above mid-range since 2 weeks. And what happened as soon as we got that daily close above? We rotated all the way into range highs, swept range highs, and then that's where we came down and made this retest where it was critical that we held the higher low. And we did, right? And positioning in here wasn't easy. It was extremely choppy in this like section here. It's always easy to look in hindsight and say, oh yeah, what a perfect hold. But in the time, it's not easy to position. It's not easy to have conviction, and it's not easy to hold your trades. But we rotated from testing range, mid-range, and we blew through range highs finally. It's always important to look at high time frames because they really paint a clear picture. So even today, if you're looking on lower time frames, things look like a mess. You know, if you're in trades that are longs here and it's stressful, whatever, but it's like when you really drill it down and you look at it, we are literally testing range highs, and it's the exact thing that you want to see. And it's critical that we hold this the same way that it was critical that we held here. Now, that doesn't mean we can't chop here, right? And then go. But this is the level that you do want to see hold. Otherwise, we will get a rotation probably down towards 93. So if we drill it down now onto the 4-hour. By the way, anyone who doesn't have the indicator, just so you know, like the levels that I'm pulling, these are from the indicator. It changes any time frame you go to. It will give you these levels from high time frame to low time frame. But I just have them manually drawn on so that when I take it off, I can show you guys, you know, on different time frames what the levels are, in case anyone's wondering where I'm getting these levels. So you can see here on 4-hour. Hold on, let me pull the chat to my other screen. You guys So as you can see here, this was the range highs, and this is 4 hour. Now this is a little zoomed in, and this is where we held, that was critical. And you can see, every time we came down, it was getting bought back up. We had no closes below here indicating that like mid-range was not going to hold really, right? This area was choppy as fuck. It was so hard to trade, but at the same time, it was exactly what you wanted to see, and it was the perfect retest for us to go and push for range highs. Now, one of the toughest parts about trading is understanding where, or sorry, not where, but when to like switch the way that you're trading. So when we go from ranging to trend break, because the majority of people in the market, every time we will break out of the range, will look to immediately fade it. Now, that has to happen because that's also what gives us these aggressive range breaks. But you got to understand that, we've been in this range here for, if we go back, this is like November 23rd. That's it. We've been in this range for almost 2 months. When we break out of a range of even a week to 2 weeks, let alone a few months, you do not want to fade that right away. A true range break is going to, it's going to be explosive. The longer you've been in the range, the more explosive it's going to be when you exit the range. So one of the things that people do is they'll immediately want to fade it. And they're conditioned to do that because it's range highs, it's range highs, it's range highs. And it makes sense when you're shorting here, not when you start closing above like this. Like when you have this 4 hour candle here that closed above the range, taking all of this liquidity as well, that's a very strong signal that it's time to switch how you're trading into continuation and more aggressive longs as we're breaking out until you're proven wrong, right? Until we actually start closing back below here, then you can short. But there's no point in shorting something like this after we've been in a range for 2 months and we've broken out. So it's easier again in hindsight to just understand that, but it's one of the most critical things to understand in trading. Anyone who's in WG and sees Johnny trade when we actually break out of a range and aggressively trend, it's a masterclass. He is the best person that I've seen at trading aggressively with the trend on light pullbacks, continuation. It's incredible. And it's like you can learn a lot from people who are good in different conditions. Woods, for instance, is one of the best range traders I've ever seen. When we're trading in a range and there's liquidity and stuff, Woods is an absolute killer. It's not to say he's not a killer breaking out and trending too, but like everyone has kind of their like specialty where they trade and where they trade very well. And you can learn stuff from different people who are better at different environments. And not every environment is going to be for everyone. That's important too. Maybe you are not a trend trader. That's fine. You should not approach it with the same risk as if we are ranging, because like you're just going to get blown out, right? So it's important to understand what kind of trader you are and what kind of conditions we're in. But yeah, those are all just kind of like basic facts. But like, we broke out of the range for the first time. So you're not going to want to immediately fade this because it's going to be aggressive. So, during this time, you're going to have a lot of alts that are putting in divergences that are just getting blown out. And people are going to struggle because they're going to try and short everything on this way up. That's not the way to go about it. It's the same if we break down. Like if you flip this chart inverse and we had broken down, it makes no sense to be longing everything on the way down. Maybe, yeah, when you like take key liquidity and get reactions around like, 2 spots like this, a sweep here makes sense, sweep here makes sense. But if you are going to be longing every like this, trying to catch it, you're going to get wrecked or round trip when you could have just trend shorted, or just shorted here and just rode it the whole way down. And I have a ton of education inside the Discord teaching you guys how to use not only the bots that we offer to trade both ranges and trend, but also the indicator that we offer. So I have a ton of resources teaching you guys exactly how to identify what kind of conditions we're in and also trade the conditions that we're in. But we'll keep going over more and more of this on streams and stuff. But this is exactly what you want to see right now. You know, we came into the first real resistance here. Like you can see, it's always important too to zoom out because you can get a really clear picture of like the levels. You know, the first real resistance in this like area here where price is most likely going to run into some issues. Now, you can look to short at extremes. You can still do that. But like I said, when we break out of the range, people are shorting this the whole way up, getting wrecked, saying, "Oh, I don't know what's going on. I had a bad day, blew this out and stuff." And like, I'm the same. Like, I'm not saying anyone did. I do the same thing. It's hard to understand and change on the fly the conditions that you're in and the way that you trade. But it's always important to go back in hindsight, look at it, understand it, identify where you went wrong, so that in the future you can better understand when it comes. Right? Pattern recognition. That's what trading is. So typically when we break out, it's like the main thing you want to do is look for where to get long. You really only want to focus on shorts in an instance like this if we start accepting back below, because then you're back in the range, like I mentioned. It's like now you're back in the range, you know, now you can look for shorts because we're most likely going either mid-range or range lows, just on strictly range trading technique in the way that they go. So you want to look for longs. And I'll tell you right now, like this is the legitimate quintessential perfect long. You know, I don't like that we retested range highs because really aggressive range breaks typically don't give you that perfect retest. But here we are, you know, we're testing range highs here. Like I said too, with Cypress on the call earlier, we have the potential to also give a div. We have a lot of liquidity sitting here. We could take that before we go higher. There's nothing wrong with like ending with a wick that doesn't close back below. But if we close a daily below 94.3 area, that's not going to look great. That is not going to look great at all. And this could very well become a deviation. Now, at that point, if that's what happens, you know, you can start to entertain some shorts with some higher confidence. But shorting up here on a range break of 2 months, not smart. So that's the first thing, is understanding the conditions you're in and being able to adapt when these change. So I'm going to go over, basically what I'm going to go over now is how you could have used the Woodsbot indicator plus the Woodsbot trading bots to help you identify like when was the right time to short. So I can say this all I want and say that like, you know, you can just long on pullbacks and stuff, but people are still going to try to short, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's a good method to use with the Woodsbot indicator and the trading bots that's going to help you have confidence in when and where to short. So we're going to take a look at that right now. So let me pull this up on the Discord here, 1 sec. And as always, any questions you guys have while I'm going through, just shoot them in the chat. Take a look here. So yeah, we can try and take a look at that here. So what I'm going to show you guys is how you can combine the Woodsbot indicator as well as the OBOS bot inside of the Discord to really help you find the coins that are the most overbought or oversold and that are making divergences into high time frame levels of resistance and support. And that is going to be probably your highest conviction way to like spot shorts or tops and bottoms in the market. I'm just trying to open this up here, and I'll bring my Discord over. Find the alert that I was using. 1 sec here. All right. So using one of the bots inside the Discord, which is our OBOS bot. Now it stands for overbought, oversold. Every 30 minutes, every 15 minutes, every hour, 4 hour and daily, you're going to get an alert telling you the coins in the market that are the most overbought or oversold on their RSI. Now we're going to it will break them down every alert by high cap, mid cap, and low cap. So if you're newer to trading or you're trying to fade some coins after a breakout, it's like your likelihood of these succeeding is going to go up by using this bot, but also just focusing on like high caps, because low caps, especially when we're breaking out, are going to break out the hardest and they're going to have crazy volatility. You want to focus on more so like continuation of breakout longs on these. Like I wouldn't recommend fading low caps the same way that like if we broke down from the range and we were just like a 2-month range that broke down, you're not really wanting to long low caps. Like you're probably just going to get absolutely wrecked. So we break it down for you guys to make this easier so you can focus where there's higher probability. High caps is where you're going to find that always. Much more volume, they respect levels, they respect indicators. So we're going to look at these here, and I'm going to show you the shorts that you could have taken. Now, this tells you where on the RSI everyone is at that 30-minute close. And when you see them like this, that means they have a divergence. So the ones that have RSI, this means 8 candles between the divergence. These are the ones that have a divergence. One of the best and most effective ways that you can use Woodsbot as a whole is to focus on the OBOS bot and look at the trades that have divergences. If you were to do one thing in here, you can probably have the highest probability just playing these coins. So we're going to take a look at these, and then we're going to tie in the divergences into indicator levels that were there to show you the shorts that you could have taken after these coins had broken out. So we have AVE and XRP, which are from the list here, AVE, XRP. So AVE here, what I have is a 4-hour resistance. Again, if you put the indicator on, it gives you all the levels immediately. I have just manually drawn this here so we can take a look on lower time frames. We drill this one down to the 30-minute, which was telling us that there is overbought on the 30-minute, and it was telling us that there is a divergence, which you can see right here. So this is what I'm saying as probably the highest hit rate thing that you can take from Woodsbot is using the OBOS tool to tell you which coins are either the most overbought or oversold, and the ones that have divergences. Tie that in with the levels from the actual indicator, and you have a extremely reliable way to trade and a strategy that you can follow. So you can see here, AVE, right? Like this initial one gave you just about a 3% move, came back and tested like, you know, perfect. They didn't close a 30-minute above. You might have got taken out break even, but like you can just see how from this level in the divergence, this played out for a 6.5% move. If we go to XRP, it's the same thing. You can see 4 hours levels here, which is where I drew it on manually. And for those that don't know, the Woodsbot indicator, when I click this one, is actually showing you divergences. Again, any time frame you go to, it will automatically show you those on the chart. So that's where I'm pulling this from. Not only does the indicator give you the levels in which you should look to trade, it also tells you exactly when there are proper triggers to execute those trades. It really is kind of like an all-in-one thing that you can use to effectively trade. So again, we have here just a beautiful 30-minute bearish divergence in overbought on the RSI, which is above the 70 mark. And you can see what happened. You know, we got a pullback of about 7% here. Topped out there. Now we're going to look at AVAX. Same thing. Oh, someone's mic is ignored. We got, again, right, 4-hour level here, just drawn on. And this is what I suggest. If you are looking to short, just don't short coins until they make a divergence into a higher time frame level. Personally, I trade with the 4-hour and the daily levels. That's like what I use. And I use 30-minute divergences or 15-minute divergences into those levels. Works beautifully. I've drawn the 4-hour level there. Take it down to look for divergences. You have the perfect divergence right here into the level. Now this one isn't in overbought territory, but it was here. And even if you took the trade around here where the divergence was, you know, unless you have like a 1.5% stop, which is extremely tight, say it's sitting around like a 3% stop, pretty normal. you would have been completely fine. Made the next divergence into here, right? And just completely dropped off from there. 11.6% move. Now we have link. This one here, you have a 4-hour level. And what I like to do is, like, if you have a 4-hour and a daily level in close conjunction like this, then that is like a very, very strong support, right? The more levels tightly conjoined together, the higher the probability of that being like a strong support resistance. So what I did is I just drew the daily and the H4, and again, we have that divergence into the level. Now, what I'm saying is that, like, when you're executing a trade, it makes sense to wait for strong levels of support and resistance, which you can derive from our trading view indicator, which is free for those who are on the ref link. When you come into those levels, when you actually approach those levels and start trading at them, the indicator will also give you on your charts, just like this, on any time frame, tell you exactly when there is a divergence. This is like your trigger, right? This is your area of interest. This is your trigger to enter the trade. So, you know, we kind of have it all. And then in terms of spotting them, no one wants to look through hundreds of charts a day. You don't have to. Just use something like the OBOS bot inside the Discord, which is just one of like 20 plus free bots you also get for being on the ref link. This is going to tell you every 30-minute close, every 4-hour close, every hourly close, every 15-minute close, what coins across the entire altcoin market are the most overbought or the most oversold. So you don't have to go through hundreds of charts and remember, oh, this is here, and set 500 alerts. And like, you can literally look at this every 30 minutes. You can understand when and where Bitcoin's at support resistance, what coins are also the most overbought or oversold, which ones also have a divergence. You could get this alert and be like, oh shit, that's still 50 coins. Just take the ones that have divergences, open up your charts, use the trading view indicator to see that those are at high time frame levels of support and resistance. And then there you go. You can actually execute those trades based off that. So I'm trying to show you kind of like essentially a strategy that you can use. I know a lot of you already know this who are from the streams and stuff, but like this is one way that you can tie some of the bots in with the indicator and just have like, you know, it doesn't matter if you work full time. You can come and sit here and watch for 30 minutes and open the chart at a 30-minute close for 5 minutes and look at the top coins here that are overbought or oversold, or the ones that have divergences. Open up your chart, throw the levels on from the indicator, and execute those trades. And you could literally just trade like that. You don't have to stare at a screen for 8 hours a day. We all do because, you know, that's what you do in crypto. But for people with full-time jobs, for people who are busy, for people with kids, whatever, it's like you can really simplify this down into like a 3-step process. And I'm actually going to be making like a video on like how to get the most value from Woodsbot in like a very strategic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-step process. And it'll be essentially like this, but you know, I'm going to go into more detail with that later and like actually release like a full-blown like class on that for anyone who wants to just enter Woodsbot or pick up a new strategy and just follow that specifically. So that's one way that you can use the bots to tie in with the indicator. Now you can do this to either direction. I'm just showing you in shorts because market's been going up. But now we're going to look at another way. Actually, just hold on. Any questions on that first? If you guys have any questions on that, what I just covered, let me know. Let me catch up here. How much weight do you put into RSI overbought when breaking out? Yeah, so that's the thing, because so for me, when we're breaking out of a 2-month range, I'm not even looking to short. I'm looking to get aggressive on pullbacks or liquidation candle cascades that get bought up quickly, because I know we just broke out of a 2-month range. Unless it's just a full-blown scam or we're going to deviate real quick, shorts are not the move. My mindset switches, or at least I try, and I'm training myself to be better at that. When we break out of a 2-month range and we get a candle close like this on Bitcoin, where we have now closed above all of this. Let me go to this one, it's easier. We get a 4-hour candle close on Bitcoin, where we've just closed above all of this liquidity here, right? This candle close here indicating with increased volume into the break of the range that we've broken the range. I'm not looking to short stuff here. If we retrace and we go under and we do this, I'll short the shit out of a bunch of stuff, but I'm not looking to short unless we do that. So even if, and you can go to any alt, you can look, and like a lot of the times the RSI will just be in overbought for a while. So it's not like instant here. This is on the 15-minute, this is sitting at 85, consolidates, pushes up again, right? So I'm not necessarily looking to short on a range break of 2 months. And if we break to the downside, I'm not looking to long until we come into like very clear levels, or I see, signs of exhaustion on Bitcoin and ETH. Like for instance, this was a really nice div. Again, high time frame levels with the indicator. So it might be a little off, but like the candle was above here, so the div didn't trigger. But like you can see here, right? It's like you have an actual finally clear signal from the time that we broke out. This was the candle. We had a slight retrace. You're looking to long anything that comes close to this range high. Regardless of if RSIs are overbought, it kind of switches, right? I'm looking at I'm not necessarily looking at range trading optics. I'm looking at, okay, I'm probably going to have to look to long here because we broke out of a 2-month range, and it's going to be aggressive. I'm not going to get the perfect divergence like this. Like a real range break is not going to give you that. So I'm looking to long regardless of what the RSIs are looking like overbought. Because I know that until we make it to the next logical resistance above after breaking that range, then I'll entertain some shorts. If that answers your question, it's kind of long, but when does the div form and take to play out before taking a trade? So you'll see it form at the candle close. So for instance, let's look at a clearer one. So the candle closed here. So the RSI, you have price making a higher high, and your RSI here is making that lower high right here. So when this candle closes, that is when that would have triggered and shown. You'll see this, and you can edit things on the indicator. So if we open up the indicator, you can edit on it. So you can wait for confirmation, or you can not. And basically what that means is it will show you that this is a divergence as it's forming. If it pushes too high and this actually goes higher on the RSI here, which breaks that div, then this will disappear. So you can have it set to just show you on a candle close that this line will appear and there is your divergence. Or you can have it where you can kind of anticipate that it's being made currently, but it could also break. So you can change that on the indicator, but essentially it's at when the candle closes. So this candle closes, you now have a divergence. This peak here and this peak here, they're closed. That's your divergence. Now you can still break it and keep going higher, which you can see, for instance, here, right? So you have the divergence, and it was confirmed here because these were the peaks that were closed, but you can still break and go down. So again, not everything's going to work 100%, or we'd all be millionaires from this, but it will confirm when the candle closes, and you can edit that on the indicator to match how you want. Yeah, OBOS bot is my favorite in the Discord, without a doubt. Auto still. Oh wait, with divs printing within overbought and oversold levels, are you looking for both RSI peaks? No, that's a good question. So when I'm talking about divs in oversold or overbought, I mean if both peaks are in overbought or oversold territory, that's fantastic. Like this here, right? Like that is just a beautiful divergence. Take that all day long, but they don't necessarily have to be. So let me see here. Again, both in overbought, oversold. If you have that, it's better, right? The higher it is or lower it is in overbought, oversold, and if the div is in oversold, overbought, perfect. Like that's exactly what you want to see. But one like this is this is a much different div than those other ones. It's even extended a lot further. This is a div that's difficult for me to even trade. It's I wouldn't necessarily take this myself. it is textbook into here. And if you follow just the indicator itself as a system and don't let your emotions or thoughts interfere with anything, boom, you have a trade. But for me, a div that comes under the 50 like this and then back above and makes it, like, is a bit strange for me. But it's valid nonetheless. But divs like this, so, you know, this div here, it's a div, but like you're not even in overbought or oversold. And you can see they can still give shallow pullbacks, but they're not going to be nearly as effective as divs that are in overbought, oversold. So to answer your question, if both peaks are in overbought, oversold, that's great. If they aren't, it's not the end of the world. This is a good example here. So you have two divs here, right? This one to here, and then this one to here. So if we look at this one to here, this one is basically in overbought, and this one's not. That's still a beautiful div. Like, I like that a lot. I would take that all day long. They don't both have to be in overbought or oversold. But if they are, it's better. Bot is a cheat code. Wow, it's perfect. So deviation refers to price in RSI. No, so deviation is just like essentially just a way of reading price action. So if you get this, let me clean this up one sec. It's annoying me. So deviation is if you were to come above the range high and then start accepting back below. So instead of us actually holding and trending higher, which is what you want to see, you would just deviate the range and we'd start accepting back below and we'd just be back in the range and it'd just be back to range trading. So it was not a true range break, right? Like this is like, whatever, it's 2 candles, but it's a slight deviation of the range. Something like this, even though the range didn't form, just for example's sake, would be a deviation of the range. So you don't want us to pop above like this, take all this liquidity, and just, you know, die back into the range. You would have deviated the range, and now we're back to this. I also love the RSI 30-minute heat map. Yeah, exactly. So I'll show you guys that as well. So we have heat maps as well. 15, 30, 1 hour, 4 hour daily. Click of a button. This is going to generate you a heat map in real time of where the altcoins are across the entire altcoin market on their RSI. So you can see stables sitting around an 80, IP and GMT up around 70. You can see the coins that are neutral, and then you can see the coins that are oversold. So these coins are heavily sold off for whatever reason. But it gives you a snapshot across any of these time frames of where coins are sitting on their RSI. 4 hour, we've got this FHE coin. No clue what that is, but like we take a look. Coin's probably absolutely rallying hard. Yeah, exactly. You can see like the RSI is like absolutely cooked. We got FTW in the chat or what? No. But this is the type of coin that, you know, we're probably going to see a P&L from FTW in a day saying now down here. But anyways, like it gives you a snapshot of the different coins and where they're at on the RSI. It's a great tool as well. Reeve, good to have you, bro. Take care. So maybe a bit of an extensive question. For example, if we're approaching a big area of support and there are divs, maybe even both OBV and RSI bull divs, looking for long, but the price action looks like free fall. And of course, throw in the fact that maybe it's even approaching a limit order from the AI bot. Would that be considered knife catching and risky? Should we likely wait for the breakdown and then reclaim and enter on the longer retest, or do you think the bull divs and support is good enough? Yeah, so it's a good question. And it's like, one way I'll answer that is, you know, in terms of knife catching, if we're at support, it's not necessarily knife catching. Let's just take this as an example. Let's say this is support, which it is. You know, if you're just longing in this, like essentially your knife catch, unless it's at support, like you are considered knife catching, but also if it's doing something like this, where it's like absolute free fall, high volume sell off, yeah, you consider knife catching here too. But like longing something with divergences into support is not knife catching. That is a statistically logical long that makes sense if you play it out over 100 trades, depending on the variance of support resistance and RSI divs, whatever. But it's not considered knife catching if you have logical support especially high time frame, and you have divergences. It's a term thrown around like knife catching and stuff, but like if you're knife catching, like you're most likely longing something in absolute free fall that like doesn't really have any support, and you're just trying to catch that wick, like the liquidation wick, in order to catch the bottom, which in and of itself is a good strategy. And if you are catching those wicks with like logical limit orders and stuff, for sure. But that is kind of how you could look at that. I don't know if it makes sense or not. Pretty straightforward, I think. No silly questions, man. Imran, yeah, so support and resistance are the lines on the chart, exactly. So you can see I have them marked H4 as in 4-hour daily. And again, the indicator itself, which your gold name, yeah, so you have the indicator. So the function on the indicator that gives you these lines, these are support resistance, right? Any time frame you switch to, it will update and give you support resistance. That's how I'm pulling, this range here, right? Support and resistance levels where price is pinned at resistance, it's bouncing at support, but we're like range bound here. That's what we're breaking out of. And you're looking at these support resistance levels. So when price comes up into this daily resistance, we most likely struggle here, have a rejection and flip it, or reject and come back down. So these are the levels that you can watch price action around. And what I'm going over right now is having those levels, but then, executing based on like lower time frame triggers into those higher time frame support resistances. This one here. Yeah, no problem, bro. No problem. Yeah, so it's not always going to work. That's the thing. Like, for instance, you can have this whole rally up on Bitcoin where people are shorting everything. There's so much, like gas is a coin that's been absolutely cooking. And it's like you can see, like, you get a rejection from here as it comes in, but like you're not always going to get rejections, right? Like, look at this. Probably have a div here. Yeah. So, a coin, and you can look at volume a lot of the times. If we're breaking out on Bitcoin and a coin is just like massing volume like this, plus it's got a narrative like privacy and stuff like Zach, like this is knife catching. I mean, there's maybe some support resistances in here, but maybe not. And it's the same as the inverse, right? It's like it's kind of a difficult term because like everyone's going to use the term knife catching differently. But I would just say that if you're longing or shorting at logical support and resistance with divergences, it's not knife catching. Does it mean it's going to play out every time? Absolutely not. There could be, for example's sake, support right here. Like, let's just say, for example's sake, there's a 4-hour support here, or sorry, resistance, and you have divergences into it. You have logical triggers to take that short. It's super, super overbought. Now, does it mean it's going to play out? No. Does that mean you were knife catching? No, absolutely not. You had valid triggers that, whatever. So you have a 70% hit rate with 30-minute divergences into 4-hour support resistance. You had a 70% chance of that working just like any other trade. But then you go back and you look at it and you're like, oh shit, this is breaking out. There's a narrative. Maybe there's news behind it. There's reasons as to why the trade went wrong, or it just statistically was part of that 30% that doesn't always play out. So I would say as long as there's support resistance, there's triggers as in sweeps as Monday's low, divergences, SFPs, whatever it may be, like it's not necessarily knife catching. Now, if a candle goes down 10%, there's no divergences. It's just like a heavy nuke, whatever. It's like, yeah, if you're trying to like catch the bottom of that, like that's knife catching. If you have limits at a logical level after a big sweep, like that's fine. You're still knife catching on those limits because you're expecting a liquidation cascade and you can get great entries that way. But that's more what I would consider knife catching, in my opinion. All right. Any other questions? These are good, and I appreciate the questions because a lot of times the questions you're asking are questions other people will have, but not everyone's comfortable asking. Just know the same way that like Imran said silly questions, there are no silly questions. Every single trader who's been successful has also been at the point where they don't know what anything is. They don't know simple candlesticks, support resistance. Like that's part of the process. The ones who hold back asking questions are the ones who are not going to progress as far as the ones asking questions. No one in Woodsbot is ever going to say a stupid question, this and that. That's not the community here. That is not the culture. That like, you know, if someone says that, I'm going to snap back at them. This is an open and free place where you should feel that you can express any question you have, any level of trader, it does not matter. We're all here for the exact same reason. We want to be successful. We want to change our lives with trading, get rid of our full-time job, add more income, whatever it is. We're all here for the same reason, and we're all pushing towards the same goal, to be a better trader every single day. Through trading too, I believe you become a better person. You understand discipline more, you learn patience, you learn how to handle problems and like issues with losses and things like that. So, you know, this whole thing is a journey, and don't ever think that there's a stupid question. Lurk for 5 months. Yeah, and Taco, like for instance, has gone sky high, man. I've seen this guy go from like months ago to a year plus ago asking all these questions just like all you guys were, and you know, he applied it and he went in and he back tested and he looked at what worked and what didn't, looked at his mentality and his psychology, and went through the difficult times of losses and shitty streaks and wins and like euphoria, and it's like all part of the journey. And it's like, you know, you guys can do the same thing too, right? And it's like, this is why I stream every week. This is why I get tons of educational content for you guys. Like, I have content covering every single bot in here with specific strategies, how to trade every type of market with these bots. The same thing for the indicator, how to trade trending, support resistance with Monday range, like range trading, all of it. I spend so much time in here educating you guys because trading has changed my life. Woods has helped change my life. And it's like, I want to help you guys get to the point you want to be as people, as traders, and all this. And it's like, that's the fucking heart of this community. That's why I love it. It's like, there's no bullshit. It's all positivity. We're all trying to better ourselves. We're all trying to get financially free. Let's be honest. Like, we all want fuck you money because why not? We see all these people making money, but that comes with discipline. That comes with patience. That comes with hardship. Having a community around you versus doing that yourself is going to literally propel you 10 times further than not. Appreciate you, Funk Shaman. Nice name. Marquis. At the current stage, BTC. Okay, hold on, let me go up here. So as a beginner, what be best to focus on confluence wise? So I would say if you haven't gone through the education, I would definitely suggest you go through the education and learn what the different bots themselves are. Same with the indicator education. Now, there's a lot of it in there. So what I would suggest in bot education is to go through the strategies. Well, you know what? Like, I'm gonna just say that the indicator is probably your best bet in terms of like actually building out a solid understanding of the market as well as how to execute. So I would say we offer a lot of bots. Feel free to go through the education on that too, because something will click for you that doesn't click for others. Everyone has a style and, you know, perceives the market in a specific way. But I would say go through this this indicator education section. Go through it 2 times, go through it 3 times. It's extremely easy. These are 5-minute videos, but they will really hammer in everything I'm telling you right now about how to read the market, how to look at the levels of the market, how to execute around those levels in various ways with various triggers, all given to you by the indicator itself. So I would say as a new member or someone who's trying to figure out exactly how to trade, that is probably your highest value time spent is going through the indicator education. Yeah, so I'm gonna get all these questions one at a time here. So confluence wise, Imran, that's basically going to be high time frame levels, with like a 30-minute bullish or bearish divergence into those levels. Now, if you want to make it even higher hit rate, just do what I'm saying now with like the oversold or overbought divergence. You could even rewatch this video about how I went through the altcoins and just go into the charts and back test for 2, 3, 4 hours a day, however much time you have, however serious you are about it, and look at, start to understand the pattern of these high time frame levels and divergences into those high time frame levels, as well as being overbought and oversold. And just, back test, spend time in these charts. You have to put in reps. All the people who are successful, we sit here for 8 to 10 hours a day, or people with any free time with full-time jobs do it all in their free time in order to get there. It's a long journey, but it's one that like having a community like this is going to just send you through the roof compared to doing it by yourself. At the current stage, VTC, what will be the earliest signal of bounce? So we're already having that currently on top of the range. This is, like I said, the level that we need to hold. We do not want to see closes below here, right? We start seeing daily. If you see a daily close below here, like that's not good. We want to see this retest. This is perfect. It's a nice retest. Sure, we can sweep it, have wicks, and create a divergence, but we are retesting the range highs right now, right? You can very clearly see rejection, 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 flipped it, and now we are literally retesting it. So whatever happens doesn't mean that we can't even chop here the same way we did like this, before we went up, but you just don't want to see us start closing below. So, right, like we are at range highs. You have easy invalidation with us accepting below. Doesn't mean we can't wick below, come back up, create a div like I said, but we're there now. So let's see. What's your second favorite after the OBOS bot? Probably B. Honestly, OBOS bot, and then the RSI bot used to be, but now the indicator literally tells you. So, but I would say RSI bot, because the RSI bot is going to tell you the same way we have 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour daily. You have the same time frames for the RSI bot, 15-minute, 30-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour daily. And this is going to tell you every close of that specific time frame, what coins in the market have an actual confirmed divergence. So you can use the OBOS bot for overbought, oversold, and you can use the RSI bot for divergences that are confirmed. Again, we'll break it down for you by high caps, mid caps, and low caps. So you can choose which coins to trade. But you can see this is going to say RSI, and then it's going to tell you how many candles between the first peak and the second peak and the exact price. So I would say RSI bot, right? You can come into here, you can look every 15, 30 minutes, whatever, and you can just open up the chart and see which ones have divergences. Throw your Woodsbot indicator levels on. That's a whole nother trading strategy right there that you can do. Yeah, no problem, J-Pop. No problem, man. Take care. All right, guys, so I'm just going to run through one more quick thing now. Pushing this one pretty far, but that's fine. Everyone's getting value, so it's good. So the other thing that you could do with the indicator, which is in and of itself an entire different strategy that works the exact same, is the Monday range. We also show you guys Monday's range on the indicator just like this. We have other levels too. You can include yearly open, monthly open, daily open, but this is going to give you Monday's range, which is a beautiful tool for scalping intraday. This is just the range that is formed on Monday, and it typically acts as the perfect range for taking scalps. Now we throw on the divergence. Also too, for those that don't know, we have a bot in the Discord, which is going to tell you every single time any coin sweeps Monday's high or Monday low. Any altcoin sweeps Monday's high or Monday low, you will be alerted in this bot. This is another bot. You can just sit here or come when you have a full-time job and you're off and you have an hour and a half to trade and just watch this bot for sweeps. Now you need and want other triggers and things like that with it, but this is going to tell you the coins that are at areas of interest where you can take a trade. So you can see here, we have a 15-minute divergence bullish from the indicator showing us into Monday's range. Both of these are on the indicator, right? So not only are we going to give you more levels to trade around, we're also going to tell you again when the triggers are. You have a 15-minute bullish divergence at range lows. that holds. You also get the bot trigger in the Discord telling you, so you could just open the chart and Sol heads off towards Monday's high and higher. Pepe, exact same thing. You have divergences into Monday range sweep. Monday range bot tells you in the Discord, you pull it open, you simply just pop it on your chart. There's your trigger to take the trade. And Pepe just makes a ridiculous move, to be honest. Like 20% move. You would have spent literally not even a second underwater on this trade too. Doesn't always work like that, but that's crazy. XPL, exact same thing, exact same setup. You have a sweep of Monday's low. Bot tells you in the Discord. You come in, you throw your indicator on. Here you go. This one rallies from range lows to range highs, 13%. Now you come up to range highs. You get a sweep of Monday's high. You consolidate a bit above, but you can see we also sweep these highs and you get a divergence. There's your trigger to take a trade. This one rotates, whatever, so you took it here, rotates down all the way for a 17% move. FATE, that's the one we looked at, but well, what do you know? I didn't even plan to put FHE on, but you have a sweep of Monday's low here. You would have been alerted in the I'll just open up the Discord so you can see. Why not? Go Monday range, FHE. See, so Monday's low was swept on the 13th. You were literally alerted inside of the Discord. That's funny. Right here, this was the sweep. You took out this liquidity here. And if you played that, you'd be fucking printing. Jesus Christ, yeah, it's almost 200%. If you held from there, which definitely not going to do, you're printing. But just as an example's sake, regardless of how far this went, even playing this the range highs of Monday high, it's a beautiful 11% move. That's your trigger right there. You have a divergence, it goes a bit deeper, but Monday range sweep nonetheless. But the Monday range, combined it with divergences, combine it with levels, right? I didn't even look at high time frame levels if they're here. This is just Monday's range. You can tie all three of these things in with the Woodsbot trading view indicator to find different combinations of trades, to use levels, to have triggers to the trades themselves, however you want to use it. But this has been a good first stream. I'm glad to be back doing this weekly. I'm going to continue to do this. Do you prefer specific handle number on the R side is? Yeah, so I typically, it's a good question. I personally like them anywhere between, like 7 to 20 is like a good range. If it starts going like 25 and 30, I'm not as much of a fan of it. Yeah, I know, Mello. Fuck. Go along every Monday low sweep, I guess. But like I was saying, guys, I'm glad to be back. We're going to be doing these streams every single week again. I'm going to be covering and giving you guys just as much alpha as I did today on all of them. We will keep up to date with the market. I'll keep up to date with you guys on, what's coming out for Woodsbot, what we got for you guys. Like I mentioned, if you guys think the indicator and the bots that we've created now is impressive, you have no fucking clue what's coming in 2026, and I cannot wait to show you. We do not stop building. We have so many plans for the future for you guys who are riding with us. And, I hope you guys see the value in the indicator, see the value in the community, see the value in the trading bots. Like, you guys get all of this just for being signed up to a ref link. You don't pay a monthly fee. You don't pay any upfront cost. You don't pay anything. It's insane. So, Woods has designed this to give you guys as much value as possible. And that's who Woods is at his core, and that's what we do. So we appreciate the ones who ride with us. We appreciate the ones who trade on the ref links. We're going to keep building for you guys, and we have big plans coming. So, yeah, we're going to kill it this year, you guys. Appreciate you all coming through, showing support, being active in the community. Let's get it popping in there. Let's all make 2026 our best year yet. I know I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that that happens for you guys. So that's all I got for you. I'll see you guys in the chats. Any questions you have, just hit me up. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next week. Peace.